There are those who believe they can draw lines in the dust, who think they can build walls where the mountains have stood for millions of years. But they don't understand this desert. In Big Bend, the world is the wall, and for those who stay, it is the only place left to truly be free.
We relocated from Leander, Texas, near Austin, gave up suburbia, granite countertops, fenced-in yards, came out here and started with very little, but divorce got in the way, so I did it on my own. I wanted to move to a life that was more authentic to here, and this place just breeds it in you.
They call it Big Bend because even the great river had to surrender to the stone. Humans aren't much different. To survive this landscape, you simply cannot break. But like the river, you must learn to bend.
If you come down and it gets you, no one has to explain it. And if you don't get it, no one can explain it to you. So it really is kind of one of those places that has a life of its own. And I don't think it's so much about what you get to see here as it is about what you get to feel here.
Out here, the pavement eventually gives up. The signal dies. The noise stops. And you're left with the only thing you can't run from: yourself.
Each one of us, we have a destiny, and we have a strengths and places that we're supposed to grow. And when you arrive in Big Bend, you're all of a sudden opened, and the possibilities are unlimited.
This is the end of the road, the final mile of a season, and the final hour of the person you were pretending to be. This is the beginning of everything else.
This land always knew my name. She whispered to me along city streets, across suburban lawns. She called me years ago, the gentle echo of a vastness, a kinship known by no other means, by no other path. Now she owns me.
We arrive here as visitors, protected by our maps and our old lives. We think we're here to witness the landscape, but the desert doesn't want your admiration. It wants your surrender. It wants to see what you're made of once the world is stripped away.
There's a reason it's the most revisited park in the entire United States National Park system. And a lot of people spend a lot of money on trying to reparent yourself and kind of reconnect with nature, and this place is just prime for that. It's so peaceful and it's so relaxing. Just one less layer of distraction when it comes to being who you want to be.
But the desert doesn't just reparent you, it reclaims you.
Moving to the desert, the first thing that changed was my hands. Short but clean nails became dirty and ragged. Tougher, a clear but slow shedding of the life I lived before.
There are no shortcuts in the Big Bend, and there are no shortcuts in the kind of storytelling we're trying to build here at Wild Yeti TV. We are 100% independent, self-funded, and fueled by the belief that great storytelling still matters. We don't answer to a network, we answer to you. So if you believe in what we're building, help us keep this thing going. Hit the subscribe button, like the video, and do us the biggest favor of all. With each of our episodes, ride with us all the way until the credits roll. The journey is always worth it.
Then it was my hair. Any strand which dared grow longer than shoulder length split and broke into the wind like so much wasted hay. She is trying to take my skin now, but I fight her tooth and nail.
When I got out here in August in the middle of the night, it was so quiet, I swear you could hear your cells dividing. And I thought, oh my God, what have I done?
That silence isn't a lack of sound. It's a presence. It's the sound of the who you used to be, finally removing the mask. When there's no one left to applaud, and no noise left to hide in, you finally hear what the dirt has been trying to tell you all along.
It was so nice to move here this last year, and it's quiet and it's peaceful. Where like in Houston, I might get up at like 3 in the morning to have that allotted amount of time to paint where it's quiet and you can just hear your own thoughts and all that. So a lot of it for me here definitely has been the quietness and the beauty and the light.
In the city, you can hide from yourself in the noise. In Big Bend, the silence is a mirror, and the mirror never lies.
This desert can eat you alive if she likes. I think she knows it. But there is something intimate to be found in the remote, and while lately our country seems as divided as our border, what I found here was completion. I found that I am capable, that I am not the narrative of another, but rather a story waiting to be written, that we all are.
Most people think they know Texas. They think of the big cities, the oil, the plains. But there is something much bigger out in the South Brewster County dirt. A landscape so alien, it feels like it belongs to another moon.
I first came to Big Bend when I was a geology student. Came out here in 1982 with a geology field trip group. We drove into Alpine about 1 o'clock in the morning, in the dark, in other words. And I got up in the morning and I was blown away and looked around and said, whoa, I didn't know there were mountains in Texas. And I just became instantly addicted to Big Bend.
I lived in Texas for 20 plus years until I came out to the Big Bend region for the first time, and I went, I never dreamed this was in Texas. And a lot of people began to think that way as they came down and started to experience this place.
It's so easy when you're here in the Big Bend. It's so easy to look around and say, wow, I must be the first person on the history of the earth that's ever trod on these rocks and dirt. But it's wrong, okay? The indigenous people were here for thousands of years before us. And if you look around, you can see examples of that.
Probably the most local impact you'll find are from the Humanos and both the Mescalero and Lipanapache. This was very much a kind of trade route as well. So especially if you go further south towards Presidio, you'll see daily evidence of the impact that this region had for communities throughout the Southwest and throughout North America.
In 1944, a national park was born. Texas gave its gift to the nation. But a gift is not a home. A map is not a sanctuary. Lines only define a boundary.
This was truly a ghost town in the 1940s and 50s. Very few people lived down here in South Brewster County. When I got here in 1982, it was still basically just a ghost town. It was a few houses here and there scattered around, and now the countryside is just being taken over by new construction.
It was the river that brought the life back. The whitewater was the pulse that woke the desert up. What began as recreation evolved into a reclamation, a new tribe running toward the silence, in search of a life to call their own.
So by 1975-76, Rafting companies had started springing up here, primarily far-flung adventures. Over west of the ghost town was Glenn Pepper. He was running some raft trips down here in the 70s. But by the 1980s, there had been several more rafting companies come in and set up operation here. And so river running and recreation became very popular in the 1980s and 90s. And that kind of prompted the growth of this whole area, the reoccupation of the area.
But reoccupation comes with a price. Today, the sanctuary is being traded for a commodity. The very thing people came here to escape is following them into the desert.
Most of the folks that come here today, they're different than the folks that used to come here 30 to 40 years ago. And a lot of that is because of cultural changes that have happened during that time period, changes in the society and the culture of our country. Technology has had a lot of effect on that, a lot of influence on how people deal with the natural world, or fail to.
We keep building our shrines to progress. We fill the canyons with noise, and the dark skies with artificial light. But the desert has a long memory. It has seen empires turn to dust before, and it knows that in the end, the land doesn't belong to the people. The people belong to the land. There are those whose names are already written in the dust of this place, legacies that stretch back generations. They are the keepers of the record, the ones who remember the ghost towns before they were tourist stops, and the families who survived when the only thing the land gave was hard times.
And that's what I love about the people out here. They're so resourceful. Everyone is a Jack or Jill of many trades, and they help each other out. It's very community oriented. And in some ways you feel like you've gone back to the frontier times when people had to take not only care of themselves, but also they pay attention to how they can help their neighbor. And I just think that's incredibly rare and special about this place.
Then there are the makers, the ones who see a dinosaur bone or a desert berry not as a commodity, but as a conversation. They don't just drive by the volcanic activity. They are drawn to it. It speaks to them, calling them to create. Not everyone came here to build empires. In fact, most didn't. Most came here to build a life that actually means something, to find a space of their own in the middle of nowhere.
I didn't know that I had a creative spark for a long time, for many years. I thought I was just kind of crazy, and I was trying to be normal, which didn't work very well. And I ended up here in the desert kind of by accident. And I fell in love with the desert. I fell in love with the light and the space.
Because out here, normal is just another cage you leave at the gate.
People live in a life that is molded for them. Life is caged, but each one of us, we have a destiny. You have to find that. Wherever it is in the world, you have to find that. And when you arrive in Big Bend, there's no cage. You're out of your cage. Some people are very uncomfortable with that. And they get in their car and they leave and they do not come back.
I think that a lot of people come out here for the sanctuary, the peacefulness, and the beauty, the austere beauty. And you see more and more of it the longer you're here.
But the sages, they came here to let the silence fill them. Charlie Maxwell understands that in Big Bend, the music isn't something you make. It's a frequency you catch. He knows that out here, the soul doesn't just grow, it's liberated.
A lot of people, they start like a bird flying. I'm free, and then they crash dive, but that's part of learning. They got the experience to open themselves, to be the peace that they're truly meant to be, to start on that path, to build themselves into greatness. And that's our destiny.
And then there are the ones who lead, the river runners and the interpretive guides, the old school, the new blood. They are the bridge between the visitor and the sovereign. They know that out here, you don't just show people a view, you show them their own reflection.
This is not an easy place to live. And the community of people that accepts that, we've all got a common bond, whether we acknowledge it or not. You know, it's there. And that resilience, I don't know, it brings out a lot in us. And, you know, we live raw on the land. I mean, look at this. I own a bunch of dirt and cactus and rocks, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
I am born of the water, yet drawn to the earth, to the dirt and rock, and the desert, which by any other name is an ocean upon itself, was my home before it was my home. Here I find solid footing, balance, peace. It pushes me away from the girl I was toward the woman I will be, the void between the two slowly dissipating.
A lot of it has to be the simplicity of life here, the slowness, the peace and quiet for the most part, getting to work on yourself, which is not always an easy thing to do.
When you walk every park trail in that park, you ain't seen nothing. I have been trying to see it since I was 5 years old in the back of an old mule named Becky. And there's no way I'll be able to see it all, and I could spend 10 lifetimes doing it. And if I go on to my greater reward, which I hope for, if heaven's too full, I hope it just put me back down to Big Bend again. Because maybe then I'll finally get to see it all.
The land is leaving her mark, and she is not shy. She carries me forward like the Rio, flowing deep and hard. I can do nothing to stop it.
This is one of the most special places I have ever found on earth, the Big Bend. And it's a sacred place for many people for a really long time.
I've never seen the Milky Way so much in my life. Sometimes you look up, it's just all dots of stars. It's just covering the entire sky. It's very inspirational. You just want to make art.
And there is something magical in the emptiness, when the cell signal runs out, when there is no one else around except the cacti and creosote, the mesas and mountains, a cobalt sky. It's a weight off the shoulders, a lifting of the brow. I keep looking for words to describe it, but there is nothing except this. I love disappearing into her folds. Every single time.
We came to Big Bend seeking an expedition. What we found was far deeper, much more meaningful. A place where the silence is louder than the city, where the grit in your teeth is more valuable than the gold in your pocket. Out here, you aren't judged by what you own, but by what you're willing to lose. The desert doesn't offer forgiveness. It offers clarity. It is a sanctuary for the restless and a grave for the arrogant. It is a place where the maps of man fail and the compass of the soul takes over. You don't come to Big Bend to find yourself. You come here to lose the person you were pretending to be. This land was here long before the first word was spoken, and it will be here long after the last echo fades. Watching, waiting, unyielding. This is Big Bend. This is Texas.